Let's walk through device decommissioning concepts you'll need to recognize for the Security Plus exam. These topics often appear in scenario-based questions, where equipment is being retired, replaced, or disposed of, and your job is to determine the correct process based on what the question describes. The key is understanding whether the focus is on the hardware, the data, validation, or documentation. We'll begin with the most critical distinction, because this is one of the most commonly tested confusion points. If a scenario describes physically destroying hardware, such as shredding hard drives, crushing disks, or incinerating media, you are dealing with destruction. Destruction means the physical media itself is no longer usable. The key pattern to recognize is that the device is permanently destroyed. A common trap is confusing this with sanitization, but destruction is about the hardware, not just the data. Now let's transition to the other side of that comparison. If the question instead focuses on securely erasing or wiping data, such as overwriting drives, or using degaussing techniques, that is sanitization. Sanitization removes the data while potentially keeping the hardware intact. This is where exam questions get tricky, because both involve protecting sensitive information. The difference is simple but critical. Sanitization removes the data, while destruction removes the device entirely. Now let's go deeper, because not all decommissioning tasks are about destruction or data removal. If a scenario describes validating that a system or process meets specific standards, or receiving formal approval that requirements were met, you are looking at certification. Certification is about official validation and compliance. A common trap is confusing this with enumeration, because both involve documentation, but certification is about approval, not identification. If instead the question focuses on identifying, documenting, or listing hardware components such as memory, storage devices, or network adapters, that is enumeration. Enumeration is the process of gathering and listing system details. The key phrase to watch for is documenting or listing components. Now let's connect these concepts the way the exam expects you to think. If the scenario is about shredding or destroying drives, think destruction. If it is about wiping or securely erasing data, think sanitization. If the focus is on validating compliance or meeting standards, think certification. And if the question is about listing or identifying system components, think enumeration. Now let's reinforce the common traps, because this is where points are often lost. Destruction and sanitization are frequently confused, but the difference comes down to whether the device still exists. Certification and enumeration are also commonly mixed up, but certification is about approval, while enumeration is about identifying details. And sanitization versus enumeration comes down to whether you are removing data or just documenting the system. The most important takeaway is to quickly identify what the scenario is focusing on. If it's physical damage, it's destruction. If it's secure data removal, it's sanitization. If it's validation and approval, it's certification. And if it's documenting components, it's enumeration. If you can recognize those patterns and avoid the common confusion points, you'll be able to eliminate incorrect answers quickly and select the correct one with confidence.